Hello everyone and welcome to this mini live called Finding Courage. So firstly, just to say hi to anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Emily Petty. I am the founder of Lead Your Way, and Lead Your Way is a business that enables women in particular and teams to lead their way, does what it says on the tin, to understand themselves, to believe in themselves, to find fulfillment, to belong, so that sense of belonging as either part of a team, or I create spaces for women to be held, to have their voice heard, and to have impact. So I am really passionate about enabling you to have impact in your way, in a way that is meaningful and is valuable to you. And I do that through one-to-one coaching, team building work, through group coaching programs and online programs, and facilitating strategy sessions, team building sessions, anything like that that helps you to build a strong team. I'm also the founder of this community. So this community, Lead Your Way, if you're watching inside Facebook, is an opportunity for you to connect with like-minded women, to explore your career potential and career opportunities, to learn, to develop and grow, and maybe even find a little bit of courage, which is what today's all about. If you're watching on another platform or watching on replay, hello to you as well. So welcome. If you're watching live, please do comment and please say hi. Love to hear your questions. If you're watching on replay inside Facebook, please also do #replay and I can catch up on the comments later. So, finding courage. So I went for the word courage over confidence, partly to sort of lean into our inner strength and inner boldness, really, and leaning in also to two quotes, really, that have inspired me and motivated me to be courageous as I've started my own business, to walk through some really difficult times over the past 5 years, and to keep going no matter what. So those two quotes are, the first is, courage is not the absence of fear, courage is fear walking. And that's a quote from Dr. Susan David, who's a psychologist. And the second is courage over comfort, which is what Brené Brown, who's written a lot of books about leadership, about emotions, says. And Brené Brown and Susan David have a lot in common in their work. In all of their work is based on huge amounts of research analysis, way more than I could ever imagine to do. So I draw on and lead from their wisdom here. And for me, I love that, particularly the quote, courage is not the absence of fear, but courage is fear walking. Because it says to us is that we're not trying to eliminate fear. We're not trying to eliminate the uncomfortable feelings, which I think is the mistake that we make. So we try to be courageous or seek to grow in confidence, and we believe that that equals being fearless, and that's not the case. So when we're seeking to remove fear, we're sort of going down an avenue that's impossible, and therefore we end up in a cycle of self-doubt, because we can never remove fear. But if we say to, actually no, fear's okay, fear's telling us something, let's think about how we can move with, walk with fear, and that equals courage. So courage is a conscious choice. I'm going to say that again. Courage is a conscious choice. It's a conscious choice to embrace, acknowledge, welcome, and accept the difficult feelings that come with courage. So if we're trying to remove those difficult feelings, we're not going to act, we're not going to walk with courage. So I can't magic up a formula to make you courageous and bold. You know, I could tell you to do your Amy Cuddy power pose, or you can have affirmations. All of these things are helpful, but they don't really solve the inner issue, which is actually, what are we doing with our emotions? And how are we responding to act? So best analogy that I can think of, that's probably used a lot, but I'm going to say it again, is around doing something scary. So my children, when about 5 years ago, in the sort of mid-teens, were given a Christmas present, and that was to Go Ape. And in order to Go Ape, you have to be accompanied by someone who's over 18 if you're under 18 or under 16. My husband does have a real fear of heights, and sort of beyond the normal realm of fear of heights. So he literally cannot go up a ladder and go on Go Ape. So it fell to me as the parent to take on this responsibility to take my children. And I'm not that scared of heights, but inevitably all of us get an adrenaline rush when we're climbing up that ladder and we suddenly look down. And it was pouring with rain, and I was at the top of a very, very high tree during what felt like a thunderstorm in my memory, but I'm sure it wasn't a thunderstorm. And my children had both gone down the mile-long zip wire. I'm sure I'm exaggerating, but it was very long zip wire. And I was left standing at the top of the tree alone, and I had to go down because my children, who I was responsible for, was at the other end. And I remember thinking, I've got two options here. I could climb back down the ladder, which seems quite scary, or I can just jump off. My children have done it. I've got evidence to say that they did not die and they survived, and they appeared to enjoy it. And obviously I chose to jump off, and it's an amazing feeling going down a zip wire. The adrenaline, you feel so good. I felt so satisfied at the end of it. And I guess when it comes to courage, is we have a choice. We're standing on the edge, and we can choose to jump off on that zip wire and experience all of the opportunity and the possibility that comes with screaming down the zip wire. And we might land badly, because I did, and I've got film evidence of that. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't a great experience and we didn't learn from it. Or we can choose to climb back down the ladder and wonder what it was ever going to be like to go down the zip wire. So if I desire to have that feeling, if I desire to overcome, to do that thing that I'm a little bit scared of, I have to help my body and help my mind go through the thoughts that this is risky, this might go wrong, you might get bad feedback, whatever it is that goes on in your head. Someone might not work with you again, you might mess up, you might spell something wrong on the blog that you write, or you might stumble when you do a live on Facebook. You have to overcome all of those questions, those what if questions. And I listened to a podcast recently which talked about that there are three things that we need to find meaning in life. And I just thought this was quite interesting, because the first was happiness, which a lot of people talk about. I want to be happy. That's all I want in life. I want to lie on my deathbed and feel happy. The second was meaning, so finding meaning in our work life and in all of our the whole of our life. And the third was variety. And I thought about variety in the context of curiosity and growth and change. And actually, if you want variety in your life, if you want to see the view from the top of the tree, not just standing at the bottom, we have to take some risks. We have to do something new. So that might be, meeting new people. Oh, I'm so bored with the people that I know. Actually, to meet some new people, you have to take a bit of a risk. You have to be willing to have those not difficult conversations, but not that thrilling conversations, till you find the person that you do connect with and you have just the most amazing, enlightening, interesting conversation. We have to go through those difficult things to get to where we want to. So we need to face fear and we need to face discomfort. So you're saying, Emily, brilliant. Yes, I knew that all along. Thanks so much. Really, really helpful. For me, that is important to dwell on, because it's important to firstly acknowledge our emotions and our feelings. And when you feel that fear, when you feel anxious, when you feel uncomfortable, the first thing you can do is ground yourself. So notice those emotions and use grounding tools. So there are a number of tools that you can do. Meditation obviously is really helpful. If you just take some time in the day to meditate or practice mindfulness. Breathing techniques, so you can do box breathing, in for 4, out for 4, in for 4, out for 4. You can scan your body to just gently breathe and identify where in your body you're holding that fear or that anxiety or whatever that emotion is. And as you're doing that, you can really ground yourself in the room, in your space. So that's really being conscious and aware of your feet touching the ground, of your bottom touching the chair, of your back touching the chair, of your hands on the arms of the chair. So really helping your body to your body and mind to connect that you are here, you are safe, you're not on the top of a tree. You know, you're sitting in a meeting having a conversation. It might be a difficult conversation, but actually your body and your being is safe and well, and so that grounding helps you to do that. And if you're in you know, maybe you need to speak up, and you know you need to speak up, maybe you've been given some feedback to say you need to speak up in meetings and you're anxious, you're thinking, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to say. You can use particularly that grounding tool, because you can just use that in the moment to count to 10 and just notice yourself being present in that moment. You can use noticing. So often we're sort of, our mind is somewhere else, but actually we are here in the present, we're in this present moment. So you could say to yourself, I'm going to find 5 things, 5 objects in the room that are blue or red or yellow, whatever it might be. Or I'm going to look at the light or smell some different smells or find some different textures. So all of these things help literally physically ground us and connect our bodies to our emotions and our thoughts. And then there probably are some common stories that you tell yourself, so limiting beliefs that you tell yourself. I talk about another tool in some of my other videos that you can do to work through that, but a very simple headline that you can do when you notice yourself saying, I'm not experienced enough to go for that job, I've got nothing valuable to say in this meeting. You can literally just add, I notice that I'm having the thought that I have nothing to say in this meeting. So you're not saying, I don't have anything to say. You're saying, oh, thank you, brain. I notice that you've told me that. And then you can start to think, well, is that true? And you could start to be more objective on that, rather than allowing your brain to convince your body and your mind to believe that story that you don't have anything valuable to contribute to the meeting. And then the third tip is to, when we feel fear, when we feel anxiety, the third step is to ask, you know, what is that telling me, or what sits behind the emotion? So Susan David talks about stress as a common thing that we talk about, and stress is a very real challenge, but often there's a more granular emotion behind that. And you can look to and explore what actually sits behind that stress. What is that telling me? Because when we know the deeper reason for maybe why we're feeling stressed, that helps us to notice. So for example, this week I've had a really busy week. I've been delivering quite a lot of work, I've been running coaching sessions, I've been out and about, but also I've had some personal responsibility that I've been dealing with, and that's personal responsibility that has a big emotional overload attached to that. So I've had to act with self-compassion, a huge amount of self-compassion this week, to say, actually, I'm not going to be able to deliver all of those extra pieces of work that I've said I would, because in those moments between running around, I've had to just stop and breathe, because I know that below I'm feeling stressed is a whole load of other emotions that I won't bore you with, that I need to work through. And really it is the noticing and the acknowledging that is the healthy thing, and that helps us to guide our decision making. So for example, and our actions, the final thing is what one first step. So for example, this week I've made a conscious decision to pull back on something that I've been promoting. So I was promoting a half-day workshop at the end of this month called Lead From Within, and really I believe a lot, I believe passionately about this workshop and the content that I want to deliver, But then when I looked at my diary and I looked at the responsibility that I already have and all the other stuff that's going on in my life, I realised that I didn't have the capacity to give to my existing clients, to give to myself, and then give to that extra piece of work that I'd created myself. It's self-created work. And so I'd pulled back from that and taken a very deliberate step. And so sometimes being courageous means pulling back, it means pivoting, it means saying no. Sometimes it does mean walking down the ladder and not going down the zip wire. It is the courage. Courage for me is the standing in what is right for you. So we can be so swayed by whatever is happening around us. Oh, but someone else is doing that. I should be doing that. The kind of fear of missing out. And that is so challenging in a context where we are seeing what everyone else is doing in the minutiae detail through social media. Oh my goodness, I should be sharing all the things that I've been doing. I should be doing all of those things that someone else is doing. I should be doing it that way. I should be getting a new job. Everyone on LinkedIn seems to be getting a new position. You know, those little things that pop up on LinkedIn. Is that right for you? You know, what is the courageous step for you? Is it to stay where you are and solve a situation? Is it to leave? It could be either way. There is no right or wrong here. Walking with courage is taking that first step. It's understanding who you are, how you are feeling, grounding yourself, and then taking meaningful action that is right for you, and honouring that and honouring yourself. So those are my thoughts for this little live around finding courage. Next week we're going to be looking at finding clarity. So that's really for leaders if you're thinking about decision making or clarity around your own life. How do you find clarity in this world, again, where so many messages are coming at us? And then just a quick word on finding courage, just in the workplace in terms of building your confidence. When it comes to that first step, think about what's the safe way that you could take action. So say maybe you find it hard to speak up in meetings. So could you say to your team, this is a challenge I'm facing into. So rather than practicing on a big cross-organisational meeting, say, I want to practice speaking off the cuff about a subject in a meeting. So could we have an example? Could you give me an opportunity where I could do that? Or maybe you go to a meeting with your manager and you sort of pre-prepare maybe a question that your manager might ask you in that bigger meeting, so that you could just start to practice that, but with a little bit of preparation, for example. So have a think about how can you build your confidence. We don't suddenly become confident overnight. I was just reflecting on this morning with someone. I look back at kind of how I was in the beginning of my career. I would never, ever, ever, ever have done a Facebook Live, not that Facebook even existed, or I wouldn't have facilitated workshops. I wouldn't have dreamt that I would facilitate workshops or speak in public. I was absolutely terrified. I couldn't at school. I couldn't do a reading or like a reading in an assembly, or I never spoke up in class. Never, just absolutely terrified of that. And now for a career, I speak up. That is what I do. So it's really important to remember that you're not going to kind of get from here to sort of here overnight. It's what one first step can you take to start to learn and to start to grow. And when we start, we're consciously incompetent. You don't know what you don't know, but if you don't take the step to grow, you'll never get there. Tony Robbins, the sort of big sort of coach in America, he says, the only impossible journey is the one that you never begin. So I'll leave you with that and just share a few opportunities that you have to work with me if you know that confidence is a challenge that you would like to work on. So the first is I am running an away day for women who want to effectively grow deep roots, to have strong foundations for how they work. That is called Deep Rooted. It is on Friday the 24th of March, and it's in real life in Hertfordshire. So really it's an opportunity for you to come away from the busyness, come away from the stress, from being busy, and to take some time out to reflect on who you are, where you want to get to, what are your goals, what's holding you back. There'll be an opportunity for you to express that or think about that creatively. There'll be an opportunity for you to receive coaching, peer-to-peer coaching and group coaching. There'll be opportunity for you to coach other people and get to know other people to build your network. So if building a network is a goal for you, I'd love to see you at Deep Rooted. It's £154 for the day on Friday the 24th of March. I only have 6 places left. If you're coming from further afield, I also have an opportunity for you to stay the night before. There'll be no content the night before, but there's overnight accommodation, and that's £250, I think, for the overnight accommodation plus the day tickets. One-to-one coaching. So if you want to grow in courage and confidence and clarity and calm over the next few months, I offer one-off power hours. I offer 3 coaching sessions or a 6-month coaching program. So if you're interested in coaching, please do let me know. And particularly if you're thinking about a change in your career or you're feeling at a crossroads in your life or career. And then I work with teams. So if you know that your team needs to grow in confidence, if you feel like there's needs to be more trust and connection with your team, or really you just need a bit of a reboot to help your team navigate the complexities of work life today, talk about hybrid working, talk about workload management, communication, strengths, all of those things, values. I facilitate those days. I'm busy, fully booked up till the end of March, but I'm taking bookings from April to June at the moment. And lastly, I've got an online programme called Leadership Reset Online, which is a £149 programme where you can lead yourself through an online programme. So that really does focus all around understanding yourself as a leader, how you work, how you get the best from yourself, and then how you get the best from your team, and particularly thinking about this courage and confidence and growth mindset and curiosity. How do we move into that space as an individual? How do you help your team to move into that space? And how do you connect and build powerful relationships with your team, with influencing stakeholders across your organisation, and what strategies do you need to manage your team effectively? So that's an online programme. I can offer that online programme with coaching alongside that as well. So if you're interested in any of those things, please do drop me a line at hello@emilypettyconsulting.com, and let's work together to help you lead your way.